What is going on, guys? Noah Brewer here, back again with another video, and this one goes out to all the people that are following my methods and are wondering, what the hell do I do once I find a winning product? The situation for this is essentially, you tested a product, it's been a few days, and it did well, now what? So I wanted to put this video out there just so that the people that need it can find it. I got a couple requests for a video like this, so let's get right into it. So before we start off, I want to give a shout out to my entire 7-figure strategy ebook. I'll pop it up right here. I'm going to try to leave a link in the description. Sometimes I forget, my bad. But essentially, this little ebook covers my strategy from product research to ending your scale. So this is really an entirely written down strategy that you can literally just go read about, and I would recommend going and reading that before watching this, because a lot of things that you do after the first few steps are very variable, and I don't want to cover all those variations here because I already did all over in my book. What I'm going to be covering here is the basic things, the basic fundamentals, things that you should know before moving forward so that you don't mess it up. So the first thing that I want to say is congratulations. If you're watching this because you're in this situation, it's hard enough to find a winner. Do not mess this up. It was great of you. Now you're profitable, or maybe you're breaking even. It's great news, but don't mess it up. There's a lot of things that are probably running through your mind right now. I've been there, especially when I was first starting out. I used to go crazy, trying to make a ton of ad sets, a ton of campaigns, and just going nuts with it. Don't make stupid decisions. And I do want to put it out there that if you do have a winning product, or you're not sure what to do, you can always DM me on Instagram, and I will be happy to try to guide you in the right direction. So the question comes up, when should you be following this kind of course of action that I'm about to talk about? And I think it's good for you to watch the video right now, because at least now you're going to know what to expect when you get to this point. But the best time to implement what I'm talking about is when you're either breaking even in the first 3 days, or if you're profitable in the first 3 days. So of course, what I say in this video is only replicable to you if you are following my method from the beginning. Obviously there's a lot of variables, so I like to say this just so that you don't try to follow somebody else's method and then halfway through try to follow my method, and now you're wondering why it's not working. Well, it's because different methods have different cause and effects, and there are a lot of variables. So I want to give a brief rundown of what I consider my method, just to make sure that you're on the right video. Essentially, it's just an ABO testing campaign, usually 7 ad sets. The ad set structure, mostly broad demographics, $5 to $20 budgets per day per ad set, 1 interest per ad set. And you can either be doing auto placements or Facebook and Instagram feeds only. This is kind of the method that I'm going to be talking about. If you followed that method and you gave it 2 or 3 days, and now you're breaking even or profitable, this is what you should do. So understanding the fundamentals moving forward. There's a couple fundamentals here that you're going to want to know. Trimming fat, which is essentially getting rid of minimizing your losses, getting rid of the ad sets that are not performing good. And then you have finding more ad sets that are performing good. So these are kind of like 2 aspects that you got to understand for at least the first few weeks of running your product. Is you don't want to just sit there and do nothing. You're going to want to actively push out your bad ad sets and find new ad sets that are performing good. So I like to say, stick to a pattern when it comes to trimming your fat. Some people will, one day they'll turn off no ad sets, and the next day they'll turn off 5, and the next day they'll turn off 1. And I would avoid that as much as possible. I usually tell clients and students, try to only turn off 1 or 2 per day. That way you're consistently doing it and it's not super sporadic. Or like I said before, and I'll say it again, usually when you're consistent with your Facebook ads become a lot more consistent. This could be superstitious, who knows, but I like to stay consistent with my actions. That way I can expect the same for my results. So try to stay consistent. Like I said, I usually do 1 to 2 per day. If by some reason you need to turn off 5 per day, then do 5 per day every day, or 4 to 5 per day. Stay in that range, try to be consistent with it. So in terms of criteria, you're going to have your new ad sets that you're going to want to be turning off, and you're also going to have your existing ad sets that you're going to want to be turning off. So for new ad sets, usually if a new ad set spends $10 to $20 with no sales, so first day, second day, third day, depending on your budget, if it doesn't have a sale, usually I'll be okay with turning that one off. Usually ad sets will make a sale in the first couple days. For existing ad sets, there are a lot of ways that you can look at it, and of course it depends on, you know, how long you've been running your campaign for. The rule stays, try to stay consistent, because there are a lot of ways that you can do it. But what I would recommend is look on the last 7 days and the last 14 days time frame, and you should be able to see these kind of like underperforming ad sets compared to your other ad sets, like just the ad sets that are not performing as well. Like maybe the average of all your other ad sets is a 3 to 4 ROAS, and you just have this one ad set with like a 1.7 in the last 7 days. That would be a good one to turn off. But stay consistent, like I said. If you're using the 7-day and 14-day rule to turn off ad sets, then continue using that throughout your whole scale. Don't switch your mindset of when to turn off ad sets mid-scale. I would just stick to whatever works. So like I said, in terms of like turning off ad sets and trimming fat, you can do it any way you want. I recommend 7 days and 14 days, and I also recommend, like highly recommend, staying consistent and not doing things super sporadically. So the next thing that you need to know is how to find new winning ad sets. So when you originally started with your 7 ad sets, my assumption is you probably have 3 to 5 ad sets that are actually performing really good. It's going to be difficult to scale if you're just relying on those 3 to 5 ad sets, because you know a few of them could die and you're going to lose half your winning ad sets, which is not good. So you really want to be testing new ad sets all the time. This even goes, you know, deeper into your scale. Like honestly, I always recommend never stop testing new interests, or maybe different variations, like you can test demographics, stuff like that. But you never really want to stop testing new ad sets, essentially is what I'm trying to say. And there's a couple ways that you can do this. One of the ways is adding ad sets into your existing ABOs. So just your normal ad set budget campaigns. And then another one is creating re-spark or relaunch campaigns. I talk about these in my book. It's usually the step number 2, the step that I do after I have that initial campaign. This is why I recommend reading the book, because all this is super situational. I can't give, you know, one piece of advice for all of you. You're going to have to look into the book and see, you know, okay, if X is 3, then do this, but if X is 10, then do that. It's that kind of thing. But yeah, essentially 2 best ways is adding ad sets into your existing campaigns and making entirely new campaigns with new interests. Another kind of mindset thing that I want to get into is focus on building a really solid foundation before scaling. Think of it like, you know, when people build houses, I don't build houses, but you have your foundation and then you have your walls. So the foundation is kind of like how I see horizontal scaling, like making new ad sets, making new campaigns, stuff like that. It's kind of building out your foundation, and then increasing budgets is kind of like building the walls. So if you like to think of it like this, you know, the bigger the foundation you have, the more walls that you can build. And also, not only that, but the more sturdy your building is actually going to be. If you had like a really small foundation and you tried scaling up, you know, things are going to become imbalanced. Anyways, it's just an analogy that I thought. I would think that when you're just starting out, really focus on getting, you know, multiple campaigns that are profitable, bunch of ad sets that are working really, really well. You know, I like to see at least 2 campaigns that are profitable and at least 5 ad sets that have 10 or more sales before I even move into scaling with CBOs. So that's kind of my minimum. Of course, the bigger the foundation, the more you're going to have to actually scale. You can scale more diversely. And of course, once you actually do scale, you're going to be way more bulletproof just because you have way more initial ad sets that you can scale. So, you know, if you try to scale one and it doesn't work, it doesn't matter that much because you have a ton more. So essentially, these are the things that I wanted you to know specifically, which is, you know, you need to know how to trim your fat and when to trim your fat. I recommend every single day, maybe 1 or 2 ad sets per day per campaign, if you even have that to support. Nevertheless, stay consistent. And then you have finding new winning ad sets, which, you know, add ad sets into your existing campaigns or make re-spark campaigns. I usually only need 1 re-spark campaign, and then we usually find enough ad sets to hit the criteria. And the last thing is to really take your time right now to focus on building that solid foundation. You know, don't go super crazy with scaling. I know it's tempting, but you don't need to. I would recommend just focus on building something that's really bulletproof so that when you actually do go to increase the budgets, there's not a whole lot that can bring you down. But like I said, in terms of very specific strategy stuff, I would highly recommend reading my book. The book is free, by the way. I'm not even trying to promote it. I don't care whether or not you download it. I just know that if you are in this situation, it's probably going to be the thing that helps you the most. Just because things are constantly changing and super variable. It would just be very confusing if I tried to like map it out in a YouTube video. But anyways, I hope that this was valuable to you. I know it's kind of a short video here, but I tried to put in like the main factors, like the main things that you need to know when you're in this first like week or two period of transitioning from testing into scaling. Because believe it or not, it is one of the most important factors of whether or not you're actually going to be able to scale that product super high. Especially understanding, building your foundation before trying to scale up is super important. So if you like this video, of course, leave a like, drop a comment, let me know what you think, or if you have any input that you can bring in, because it helps me and the other people watching, so I appreciate that. But as for this video, this is Noah Brewer, and I'm out. Peace.